Well, I'd like to do a little housekeeping up front here. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel recently. It means so much to me, and I'm seeing tons of new comments, and it seems like people are going through my old videos, and I'm glad people seem to be enjoying them. I want to thank Jay Burden as well for having me on his channel last week and introducing me to his audience. That was very nice of him, and he even promoted my channel again on the Longhouse show. So I'm very appreciative of that. He didn't have to do any of that. It's just he's a solid guy. So in case you're not aware of him, go subscribe to his channel. It's great, and his channel takes so much more effort to run than this one. So let's support him and reward him for his consistency and hard work in running that channel. With all that out of the way, let's get into this video. My son and I were at a nearby playground the other day, and as he's running around, I see something white sitting on top of the mulch. And as I got closer, I see it's a card of some sort with 3 colorful circles on it. I'll put it up on the screen now. It says, "Stay, listen, get help. If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, help is available 24/7 for free confidential support." And then it has the Suicide Prevention Lifeline phone number on it, as well as the crisis text line. If you notice, it's been chewed on quite a bit, like it belonged to a kid. I thought that was kind of weird. Then I flipped it over. It was actually a student ID card for a local middle school here in town. Middle school? That's like 11 to 13-year-olds. So it did belong to a kid. It made me so sad to think about. How many suicides have to happen at middle schools before they have to make reminders for you to not kill yourself? We know you're only 11 years old, but just don't kill yourself yet, please. Here's an excerpt from an article I found that's pretty recent, and I'm sure as we learn more about the world post-COVID, these numbers will get worse. While rates of suicide among children 5 to 11 have risen, on average, 15% a year from 2013 to 2020, school districts often provide less support at the elementary and middle school levels to help students with serious mental health issues, including severe depression, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm. While risk of suicide and suicidal ideation rises with age, and most suicide prevention programs in school focus on teenage suicide, as of 2020, suicide has become the second leading cause of death for those 10 to 14, and the 10th leading cause of death for those ages 5 to 9. For example, in the first 8 months of the pandemic alone, the CDC found the share of mental health emergencies, including suicide attempts, self-harm, and serious panic or depressive episodes, jumped by about a quarter for children ages 5 to 11. Here's a graph showing the death rate by suicide ages 5 to 14. That's just insane. Look at the jump. Here's the death rate by suicide ages 5 to 14 by race. Kind of looks like Native Americans are having a hard time out there, but Whitey is slowly but surely catching up. Percentage of middle school youth who ever seriously thought about killing themselves. In 6th grade, it was 19.6%, but by the time you get to 8th grade, nearly a quarter of students have thought about killing themselves. Seriously. That's insane. So what's causing all this? That's a question we seem to be asking a lot recently about all sorts of things. As I keep saying in video after video, liberalism requires us to lie to ourselves and others about the way that the world works, about our very reality. People like Steven Pinker and Jordan Peterson have constantly tried to be salesmen for progressivism. They see the world as linear, and it's based on this assumption. Conditions in the past were bad, and with modernity, things improve. And they'll quote all these impressive stats about quality of life, and you're supposed to walk away thinking, man, things really are getting better. The news cycle, that's the problem. It just wants to be negative because that's where the clicks are. That's where the money is. But is that true? In 1895, when people were living on $2 a month, were 11-year-olds blowing their heads off? There seems to be something destructive about modernity itself. Maybe it's the fact that the average child sees 8,000 murders by the end of elementary school and 200,000 acts of violence by the time they're 18. Maybe it's that the schools all look like prisons. Maybe it's the constant state of crisis that America has been in for most of our lives, or that the average teenager is now going through their second or third once-in-a-lifetime event. Maybe it's the porn. Maybe it's looking at the job market and realizing the American dream is dead and you don't have a great life to look forward to, not like the one we're all promised. Maybe it's realizing you'll never be able to afford kids, or travel, or even buy a home. Maybe it's the light pollution and the inability to see the stars at night. Maybe it's the divorce rates. Maybe it's the levels of child abuse. Maybe it's the fact that we have 2.5 million children that don't even have a home to call their own, or that almost 500,000 kids are in foster care on any given day. Maybe it's all these things together. I don't know. Maybe there's something about modernity itself that breeds nihilism and despair and runs against the grain of how people have lived for all of our histories until 12 seconds ago. And living in a world like this for a certain percentage of people is enough for them to kill themselves. And a smaller percentage of those people do it when they're kids. I know this is a straw man and an unrealistic portrayal of the past, but I can't help but think of something like Little House on the Prairie, or a small town like that in old-timey America. Did the small schoolhouse in the town need to remind the children to not kill themselves and give into the existential despair that they felt? Probably not. Maybe it's our collective relationship to happiness. I think there's been a shift towards chasing short-term hedonic pleasure and instant gratification, which in the end is a fleeting feeling. I think the pursuit of happiness is a misguided one. And to live a fulfilling life, you need to be okay with not feeling okay sometimes. In fact, most of your life is going to be mundane or unpleasant. Maybe instead of pursuing happiness, we pursue satisfaction instead, or a sense of completion, learning an instrument for months just to play a song you like, or buying a project car and fixing it over a period of months or years to where you can go for a drive for the first time, or even just working a job and saving up for something you really want. That feeling of satisfaction of playing the song or hearing the engine fire up or getting the package in the mail, they all feel better than feeling happy or in a good mood. The journey is the destination, as they say, the grind, the path of personal progress and development or increasing your knowledge is true happiness, to use that sloppy word again. We've lost that sort of craftsman, do-it-yourself attitude. You can buy a boring-looking box with RGBs on it and it makes music for you. You could just go buy a car that you can't afford and have other people do the maintenance. You use a credit card and just buy the thing you want right now. This is what most people do, and I think it has a negative effect on people. When you go down the path of learning a discipline or learning to fix a car or to play an instrument, there are several things that happen. You become distinctly aware of how much you do not know. And suddenly old people aren't irrelevant and unnecessary. You find that they actually have a lot of wisdom to share. You become aware of how there's not your truth, there's the truth. And there's always a best way to do something, and only an idiot would do it different. You learn your feelings are kind of irrelevant to the task at hand, and if you want to succeed in any given task, you need to put them to the side for a bit to accomplish what you need to do. Learning these kinds of things teaches people humility, respect, dignity, civility, and they're lost if people don't engage in them, which most young kids aren't anymore. Maybe if more kids understood that life is actually kind of long, and that all feelings are temporary, yes, even the bad ones, and that intentionally reaching satisfaction through a goal-oriented way of life is the real key to contentment, and not being a mindless consumer, or having your sexuality be your entire personality, or being a weeb and watching endless hours of anime, or stockpiling Funko Pops, or lusting after the latest tech, or even things like partying and drinking, or being some pseudo-civil rights activist or feminist. That outside all of that, there are better ways of living that don't amplify the entropy in your soul. Then maybe kids would realize this place is actually worth sticking around for a little bit and be willing to give it a go. I know there's a bunch of other factors that go into this stuff, but I didn't want the video to be 30 minutes long, so let's call it here. Feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on this topic and what you think the root cause is. I'm interested to hear them. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. If you like this video and type of content I'm making, consider giving this video a like or maybe subscribing. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.